Hello everyone, in this video we will explore how we can build a RESTful API that handles JSON payloads for creating, updating, deleting and fetching blocks with different parameters. So before we move ahead, let's first take a look at what we are building in this video. This is the blog app which we will be building in this video using React for client and Express as a server. So basically here what we can do is we can create a blog, or you can say post. We can fetch the blog from database, update a blog or delete a blog, or even fetch the blog by different parameters like ID, title, tags or category. So let's have demo for this app. Let's first create a post. To create a post, here you have to write the post title. So let's have it as fake post 9th. Okay, and then let's grab this and paste the same thing in post content category and in tags. Then let's hit post now, and there you will have this message which says post added successfully and our post ID is 9. Okay, then let's go back and then let's get all the posts, and you will see over here that we have all the posts that are present into our database, and there we have this 9th post which we just created right now. Then let's update the post. Our post ID is 9, so let's update the 9th post. Write the post title which was fake post 9, let's say edited, and paste it into content category and into, let's have the same thing because we are just trying out. Okay, and then let's now hit update now, and here we will have this post was updated successfully with the ID 9. Let's go back, and now when you get the post you will see here that the 9th post was edited. Now let's try deleting a post. So here again we have to post the ID of what post that we want to delete. So let's have a 9 post and let's have delete now. Again we get a message which says post was deleted with the ID 9. So now to get a post by its ID we have to enter the parameter, or we can say ID over here. So let's say 1, and let's grab this post which has the ID of 1, and there we have this. Okay, let's go back. Let's get the post by its title. So you can look into the database and let's say fake title 1. Let's copy this again and click on this get post by title, and there we have this. For tag we have to say fake tag 1 or 2, whatever you want to say, then hit get post by tag, and there we have our second post. Same thing we have to do for get post by category. So instead of title we have to write category, and let's have 5th one, and there we have this. So now that we know what we are building in this video, let's start by initializing our project. Open the terminal, and in this we are going to create a new directory for our project. Let's say node.js CRUD API blog, then let's hit enter. Then navigate inside this project, and then we have to create 2 folders that we need. So let's say server, that is going to be our Express server. Now for server, let's initialize this server folder as a Express or Node.js application. So for that, we will run the command pnpm init. This is going to generate the package.json file into our project. After that, we will run the command pnpm install body parser course express fs json file and node mod, and then let's hit enter. So now it is done installing all of the dependencies that it needs. Let's open this folder into our VS Code, and now inside this server folder we are going to create the files that we need for our server. That is going to be index.js file, main entry point for our server, and then in this we will create another folder which is going to be for database, and inside this db folder we will have another file that is going to be db.json, and that is all that we have for our server folder. Next, let's work on client side. For it we will use React Tailwind Vite. So what you have to do is open this Tailwind site. I will leave the link for it in the description, and then let's run these commands one by one and do the essential changes that we need. First, let's grab this first command to create our React application with the help of Vite. So in the VS Code, open the terminal, and in here let's paste the command that we copied. If you are using npm, then you can hit enter, but I use pnpm, so I will have pnpm create Vite at latest and my project will be replaced with client. Then let's hit enter, and then it asks us for the framework that we want to use. Hit React, then the language, let's say JavaScript, and we are done. Now we will have to navigate to the client and install all the dependencies that we need with these commands present over here, and it is installing all of the dependencies that it needs. And for our client, it is done installing the dependencies and dev dependencies it needs. So let's grab these commands because we need to install TailwindCSS, and let's paste it down over here. So I'm not using npm, so I will have pnpm over here. Then let's hit enter. And after that, we have to configure our template path. So basically, we have to change this tailwind.config.js, copy this, open this, and then go into client, and there we will have this tailwind.config.js file. And let's just minimize and close all of this. Let's grab this and paste with the content that is present over here. Then let's save the file. Then we have to add the Tailwind directives to our CSS. So we have to change our index.css file, and then go into the source folder present inside this client, and there we will have this index.css file. Grab all of its content, remove it, and paste it with these directives. And let's now save the index.css file also. Lastly, we have to run npm run dev to start our client, but we will not do it right now. We will first work with our server side. Head over to this server folder and open the index.js file present over here, and in this file we will start by creating our express server. We will start off by importing the modules such as express and body parser, which is a middleware which is used to parse the incoming request bodies. Then we will have JSON file that is used to read and write the JSON files. We have DB, which is our JSON file that act as a database, so we are just bringing in that file over here. We use course for allowing cross-origin resource sharing. Then we have created an instance of our express application, and for our application then we are saying it to use course. Then we are defining a port number. By default it is set to 3000 if it is not specified into the environment variables. Then we have these body parsers middleware that are going to help us parse the URL encoded and JSON bodies. Next, we will define all of the routes that we need for our application. We will start off by creating get routes. This is our first route that will be used to get all of the posts that are present into db.json file. This route handles a get request to the post endpoint. So when a client will make a request to this endpoint, our server will respond with the entire array of blog posts from our database, which is basically stored into db.json file, and it will fetch all of the posts available in our db.json file. Next, we have a route for retrieving a specific post by its ID. Here, ID is a route parameter that will capture the ID of the post from the URL. Our server will then use this ID to find the corresponding post in the database, and if the post is found, we will return the post as a JSON response, and if the post is not found, the server is going to respond with a message, no post found with this ID. And now we will do similar thing for getting the post by their title, category, or by their tag. Just the thing is that their parameters will change. So next, let's get the post by their title. Here we are using title as a parameter to find a post by its title, and this is going to come from this URL, and then the server will find the post with that given title, and if the post is found, we will send it as a JSON response, and if the post is not found, we will send a message not found any post related to your title. Next thing what we do is we get post by their tags. Same thing we are doing here. We are just using tag as a parameter and filter the post that includes the said tag in the tags array. If no post match the tag, a message is sent back which says no post found with this tag and whatever the tag will be. And if the matches are found, those posts are returned. And then we have our last get route to get post by category. Same as as to what we did before. We just use category as a parameter here, and we filter the post by the specified category as before. If no post is found, we will send a message which says no post found in this category, and whatever the category user or client has searched for, if it is found, we will send a response in a JSON format. And that's all we have for get routes. Now let's use post route so that with the help of it we can create a new post in our app. And to do that, first we will create a route for new post. In here we first calculate a new ID by finding the maximum ID that is present in our database, then adding 1 to it. Then we construct a new post object using the data from the request body and push the new post to the database array, and then we write the updated database back to the db.json file. And if it was successful, we respond with a success message, post added successfully, and your post ID is whatever the new post ID will be. But if there's any error, it logs it and responds with a error message, error writing to database. So basically this route handles the post request to create a new post and write it back to the database with the new ID. Now that we are done with get and post routes, let's work with the put route. The put route will be used to update a post. This route will handle the put request to update an existing post in our database, and to do that we use ID as a parameter to find the post that we have to update. And if the post with the given ID is not found, we will respond with a status 404 and a message which says not found any post related to your ID. And if we do find the post, we update the post details such as title, content, category, and tags with the data from the request body, and then the updated database is returned back to db.json file. If there was any error, we will return a message indicating error writing to database, but if it was successful, we will send a message post updated successfully. Your post ID is whatever the ID will be. And this is what we have for our put method. And now the last route that we have to work with is delete route to delete the post. This route handles delete request to remove a post, and we use ID as a parameter to find the post to delete. If the post is not found, we will return an error message, but if it is found, we remove the post from the database array and write the updated data to the db.json file, and a success message will be sent which says post deleted successfully with the given post ID. If there were any error, we will send a response 500 error writing to database. And at last we have this listen method on our app to start the server on the given port which is defined above. And that is all that we need for our index.js file. So let's now save this file and open this and head over to package.json file, and in here in scripts we will add another script that is going to start our index.js file with the help of nodemon. And let's now save this file, close this and open the terminal and navigate to the server, and then we run the command pnpm start to start the server and to check if it is running properly. So here we have this message. Basically we do not have anything into our db.json file as of right now, so let's bring in the data that we need. And here I have pasted the fake data that we are going to use. Let's save this file and open the terminal again. And yes, now the server is running on port 3000. If you want fake data, you can visit to this website, and then down over here you will find different types of data that you can use, and then whatever data that you will be using, you have to update your routes according to that. Do not forget it. So now that we have our index.js file, or basically we can say our server is ready, we can test our server on localhost 3000 because this is where our server is running. Make sure that your server is running on the localhost 3000 by running the command pnpm start or npm start. Then head over to the localhost, let's say /post, because that is our first route over here, and hit enter and there you will see we have all of the posts that are present in db.json file. And just like this, you can test all of the endpoints which are present over here. Make sure that you replace the ID, title, or tags or category present over here. You can also test these routes on Postman if you want to. So let's now start by creating our client. Head over to the client folder, open this source directory, and here we are going to create all of the files that we need for our React application. So here, just follow along with me. Okay, so these are all of the files that we need, and now that we are done creating all of the files, let's start off by creating our main page or the navigation page for our application that will have all the buttons that we need. So head over to this navigation.jsx file. In this navigation.jsx file, we will start off by importing necessary modules such as React, useState from React, link, use navigate from React Router DOM. Then we will also define a functional component navigation, and inside this navigation function we are using React's useState and use navigate hook. UseState is a hook that will allow us to add React state to function components, and here we are using it to create a new state variable called parameter with an initial value of an empty string. setParameter is the function that will be used to update this state. Then we are using use navigate hook. It is going to return a function that we can use to navigate to other routes, and here we are using it to create a navigate function. So basically, parameter is going to store the user's input, and which is going to determine where to navigate when a button is clicked or a form is submitted. The navigate function will be then used with this parameter to navigate to the new route. After that, we have this open URL function which is responsible for constructing the right URL based on the selected route and the input parameter. We are using this use navigate hook to navigate to that URL, and then we will have a return statement. Inside this return statement, we are rendering a set of HTML elements. We have a heading which says welcome to Fuse blog app. We have a description, a web app for testing blogs with all the Tailwind classes over here, and we also have an input field where users can enter parameter for specific routes. So for example, for ID they will put the numbers. For tags you can put whatever tag you want to search for. Same for category and for title. Then we render a set of links component from React Router DOM. These links will allow users to navigate to different parts of the application. Each button is associated with separate routes, and when it is clicked, it is going to construct a URL with the entered parameter, and it will navigate us to that particular URL. And at last, we export this navigation component so that we can use it in our main app. And let's save this file. Once again, if you get lost anywhere, you cannot see the Tailwind classes, do not worry, you have GitHub repository for this project. The link is in the description. You can check it out over there. Alright, and now let's work with app.jsx file. So in the app.jsx file, we start off by bringing in all of the components from our source directory that we will need for our React application. We also import browser route as router, routes from React Router DOM, and React from React. Okay, and this file is going to serve as the entry point for our app. And then down here we have the functional component app, inside which we have a return statement, and inside this return statement we have different routes using the route component. Each route is associated with a specific component which will be rendered when the corresponding URL is matched. And at last, do not forget to export this application. And now we will start off by creating our create post component. So open the create post.jsx file which is present over here. So in this file, we start off by importing the necessary modules from React, including useState, for managing states within the functional components. Then we are setting up our create post component, and we use useState to manage the state for title, content, category and tags. Then down over here, we will have a create post function which is triggered when the form is submitted. It also prevents the default form submission behavior and constructs the post data object, and then it sends it to the server using a post request. And if it was successful, the data will be written into the database, but if there were any error, it will throw us an error. And then down over here, we have a return statement inside which we have several divs, heading and paragraph, and we also have a form which on submit is calling the create post function. Inside this form we have a div with a label and an input. Write a post title. It will set the title for that particular post with the value that user or client has put in the input field. And again we have an input field for content, which is just setting the content for whatever the input will be in the input field. And then we have a label for category, input for category, and at last we have label for tags and input for tags. Finally, we have a submit button, and when we click it, it will trigger the create post function, which is going to send the post data to the server. And at last, we export this create post. So let's save this file, and next we will work with our post.jsx file, which is present over here. This post.jsx file will be used to displaying the post that we have in our db.json file. We will start off by importing React, useEffect, useState from React. Then we will set up our post component, and inside which we are using the useState hook to create a state variable post, which will hold the data fetched from the server. And we also have the useEffect hook to fetch the data from our API when the component mounts. Once the data is fetched, we update the post state with the fetched data. And then we will have this return statement, inside which we will render the post state inside a pre-tag so that it can be displayed in a readable JSON format. And at last, we export this post component. Next, we will work with update post.jsx file, and in this update post.jsx file, as usual, we start off by importing React and useState from React. Then we have our functional component update post, inside which we are using useState hook to create state variables. Same thing that we did for create post. This update post function will be triggered when the form is submitted, and it is also going to prevent the default form submission behavior, and it is going to construct the post data object and then send it to the server using a put request this time to update the post. And if the data was updated successfully, we will say that post with the ID, whatever the ID of that post will be, updated successfully. But if we get any error, we are going to throw an alert with that message. And similarly to what we did for create post, we will have a return statement with a heading, update post, and a paragraph. Inside that, we have a form which is going to call update post function on submit. Inside this form, we will have several divs, one for ID, one for title, one for post content, and for category, and last for tags. And at last, we will have this button which is going to say update now, and when you click on this button, it is going to submit your form, and it is going to call this function which we created above, update post. And we are just repeating the same thing. And so at last, do not forget to export this update post. So let's now save this file also, and let's work with delete post. As usual, we start by importing React and useState from React. Then we set up our delete post component, inside which we are using the useState hook to create a state variable ID to store the ID of the post to be deleted. And then we will have this delete post function, which is going to send a delete request to the server to delete the post with the specified ID that we will put in the input field. If it was successful, it will delete the data from our server, and if it was not, it is going to alert with an error message. And here we are using the ID stored in the ID state variable. And then we will have return statement, and in the return statement we will have a form with the input field for the post ID and a submit button, and we are also preventing its default form submission behavior, and we are calling in the delete post function. Then we have this div with the label ID and input field to set your ID number, and at last we have a submit button. When clicked, it will trigger the delete post function which we declared above, and it will send a request to delete the post with the specified ID from the server. And then we export this delete post component. And let's now save this file and work with another component, that is get post by title. So in this file we start off by importing the use params from React Router DOM, use state use effect from React, and then we initialize our post by title functional component, inside which we have a state variable post with use state to store our fetched post data. And we also have this use effect hook. We fetch the post data using the title parameter from our endpoint. The fetch function is going to send an HTTP GET request, and when the data is received, we are going to update the post state, and if any error occurs, it will get logged to the console. The dependency array that you see over here, it is going to ensure that the effect runs whenever the title parameter changes. And before rendering the post, we check if post is null. If it is null, we are going to display a loading message which is going to ensure that the user have a feedback while waiting for the data to load. And once the data is available, we will display it inside a pre-tag. And let's now save this file and go to our next component, which is going to be post by ID, and let's work with this component. This component is going to be same as to what we did for post by title. Just the thing is, our title parameter will change to ID, and here you can see we are importing the necessary things that we need, and our title is changed to ID, and now we are making a request to the ID parameter, not the title, as to what we did for this title component. And here in the dependency array we have ID, which is going to ensure that the effect will only run whenever the ID parameter will change, and once the post data is available, we will render inside a pre-tag. So that's what we have for post by ID component. And let's open this post by tag, and for tag we will have the same thing. Just the thing here, ID title will get changed to tag, and once we have got the data, we will display it into our component. Next we have post by category component, and in here too we will have the same thing, just change the parameter to category. And with this, our React application is ready. And one last thing we are yet to do is we are going to bring in this React Router DOM library. So open the terminal, and in here navigate to the client folder, and then run the command pnpm I or install React Router DOM, and it is done installing the React Router DOM. Let's now start our React application with the command pnpm run dev. And this has started our React application on localhost 5173, and we can now test our application. So let's head over to this localhost 5173. So we have error over here. Let's see what it is. It is an app.jsx file where it is over here. So basically it's saying it cannot get post by tag. It's post by tag. This is the same thing, right? Okay, over here we have post by tag, and we got post by. Remove this and grab this and go to post by tag, and this is also an error. It's post by category. So let's now save this file, head back. Okay, and here we have our application running perfectly fine. So let's now test our application. Let's create a post. To create a post, let's enter the post title. Let's say title 10, and in the content, title 10 is, or just say anything. Okay, and in category, let's have 10. For tags, let's have 10, and let's hit post now. And there we have this message, post edit successfully, and the post ID is 9. When we go back, here we will have this get post, and here we have our post 9, which we created just now. So that means our post endpoint is also working. Let's now update our post. So our post ID is 9. So what our title was, title 10, right? So let's say title 10 edited. Let's have the same thing because we do not need to edit all of the fields, right? And let's say update now, and it was successful. And when you get to the post, here you will see title 10 edited, and let's delete the post now. Delete the post with the ID 9. Let's delete it, and yes, this route is also working perfectly fine. And if you want to check that it did deleted the post, you can head over here and you can see we have just 8 IDs and the 9th one was deleted. Let's get a post by ID. So for that we have to enter the parameter over here. Let's say 1, and there we have post with the ID 1. Get post by title. So we do get the title with fake title 1, and for category it would be the same. We just have to write category, and let's have the 8th one. So it says no post found with the category 8. Let's see what we have for 8th category. Okay, it's fake 5. Let's have fake 5 as a category and click on this get post by category, and there we do get the 8th ID post. And what's remaining? Get post by tag. So let's have the same thing, fake 5, and it is going to give us the post with the tag fake 5. It should be fake 8, right? Not fake 5, because it's the 8th post. Yeah, but whatever, this is the fake data anyway. So that means all the routes or endpoints are working perfectly fine. So what you can do is you can add more things to this, like you can add authentication, or you can add database using MongoDB so that your post gets saved to your database. Okay, so try working more with this app and add more complexity to it. And that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it useful. If you did, then do not forget to like and subscribe. Also, if you have any doubts, please drop them into comment section. I will be happy to help. You can find the link for GitHub repository and this lessons documentation in the description box below. Also, you can even join our Discord server. The link for it can also be found in the description. And I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye bye and take care.